Hey there, and welcome. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to just get money and keep it, while others work tirelessly but still feel like they're just getting by? We all see it, the person who seems to have the magic touch when it comes to business deals, or the one who effortlessly builds a savings account that just keeps growing. Is it luck? Is it a secret they were born with? Or is it something we can all learn? I'm here to tell you that it's not magic, and it's certainly not about luck. It's about a set of principles, a way of thinking and acting that separates those who have wealth from those who wish they did. Today, we're diving into a powerful guide that lays out these very principles. A book that's more of a life coach in print form. Richard Templar, The Rules of Wealth. Now, this isn't just another book about how to get rich quick or how to play the stock market. Templar reminds us that true wealth isn't just about the number in your bank account. It's about financial freedom, peace of mind, and the ability to live life on your own terms. It's about a mindset that allows you to attract, keep, and grow money, and it's a skill set that anyone can develop. According to Richard Templar, it's not about how much you make, but how you think about and handle the money you do have. He's giving us a set of rules, not just a bunch of vague ideas. He's essentially saying, here's the playbook. Follow these rules, and you can change your financial life. Think about a friend of mine. Let's call him Mark. For years, Mark worked incredibly hard at his job. He got promotions, he earned a good salary. But at the end of every month, he felt like he had nothing to show for it. He'd spend his entire paycheck buying the latest gadgets and going on expensive trips. He truly believed that to be happy, he had to spend everything he earned. But one day, he hit a wall. He wanted to buy a house, but realized he had zero savings. He felt trapped. Then, he discovered Templar's rules. He started to see money not as something to be spent, but as a tool to build his future. He learned that financial decisions aren't just about numbers, they're about behavior. He began to apply the simple rules Templar lays out, saving a small portion of every paycheck, thinking about long-term goals, and understanding that what he buys today can have a huge impact on his future. It wasn't about deprivation, it was about rethinking his relationship with money. In this audiobook, we're going to break down Richard Templar's teachings, one by one. We'll start by understanding that there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. We'll learn how to think like a wealthy person and how to spot opportunities that others miss. Richard Templar doesn't just give us the what, but the why behind each rule, so we can truly understand it and apply it to our own lives. He believes that by adopting these rules, we can stop simply reacting to our finances and start proactively shaping our financial future. So, are you ready to change your perspective and start building the life you've always wanted? Let's begin. Rule number 1. Think wealthy, not rich. Welcome back. In our last session, we set the stage for our journey into the world of wealth, as defined by Richard Templar. We learned that wealth is not just a destination, but a state of being, a way of thinking, and a set of principles that anyone can learn. But have you ever stopped to wonder, really wonder, about the difference between being rich and being truly wealthy? Are they the same thing? Or is there a profound distinction that separates a temporary windfall from lasting financial peace and freedom? In this first chapter, Richard Templar lays out the foundational principle, a truth that many people overlook. He argues that these two concepts are fundamentally different, and a simple shift in how we view them can change everything. Think about it. The word rich often brings to mind images of luxury cars, huge mansions, designer clothes, and extravagant spending. It's often about what you have and how you show it off. A person can become rich overnight by winning the lottery or inheriting a large sum of money. But what happens when that money runs out? We've all heard the stories of lottery winners who, within a few years, end up in a worse financial situation than they were before. They were rich, but they were never truly wealthy. According to Richard Templar, wealth is not about how much you have, but about how much you can keep and grow. It's about security, stability, and having your money work for you rather than you working for your money. Wealth is a feeling of knowing you're financially secure, that your future is taken care of, and that you have the freedom to make choices without the constant pressure of bills or debt. It's the ability to sleep soundly at night because you have a strong financial foundation. To illustrate this, consider two different people. Let's say there's a young, charismatic tech entrepreneur. Let's call her Sarah. She gets a huge investment in her company, and suddenly, she's rich on paper. She goes out and buys a fancy new sports car, a huge apartment, and starts living a lavish lifestyle to match her new status. She's focused on looking rich. She's spending money as fast as it comes in, maybe even faster. Now, compare her to someone like John, a school teacher. John doesn't earn a massive salary, but from the very beginning of his career, he focused on thinking wealthy. He disciplined himself to save a portion of every paycheck. He invested in a simple, low-cost index fund. He lived within his means, avoiding debt and making thoughtful purchases. Over time, his savings and investments grew steadily, compounding silently in the background. Sarah might have appeared richer, but after a few years, when her company's investment ran out and she had to downsize, John had built a solid, reliable nest egg. He was a wealthy person because he had a system in place to make his money work for him, even if he didn't have a multi-million-dollar paycheck. Richard Templar reminds us that thinking wealthy means shifting our focus from spending to saving and investing. It means prioritizing long-term stability over short-term gratification. He teaches us that a wealthy mindset is one that sees every dollar not as a ticket to a new gadget, but as a small soldier that can be sent out to work for you. It's about building an army of dollars that, over time, will protect you and provide for you. It's a profound idea, really, and it's the very first step toward building a life of financial freedom. So, as we move forward, let's start by asking ourselves this simple question. Are we trying to look rich, or are we committed to becoming truly wealthy? Rule number 2. Wealth is not about what you earn, but what you keep. Welcome back to our journey through Richard Templar's The Rules of Wealth. In our last session, we talked about the critical difference between being rich and being truly wealthy, a foundational principle that sets the stage for everything else. Now, let's dig a little deeper. Have you ever worked harder than you ever have in your life? Putting in extra hours, taking on more projects, only to feel like you're still running in place financially. You see others who seem to be working less, yet their bank accounts seem to grow effortlessly. It's a frustrating paradox, isn't it? We're all taught from a young age that the key to success is hard work. But what if hard work by itself isn't enough? In this chapter, Richard Templar introduces a powerful concept. This might sound simple, but it's a profound shift in perspective. For many people, the focus is always on increasing their income. They believe that a higher salary or a bigger bonus is the ultimate solution to their financial problems. But Templar points out that if your spending habits rise with your income, you're not getting ahead. Now, you're simply on a faster treadmill. Think about a common story we see everywhere. The person who gets a big promotion or a new high-paying job. Let's say their salary doubles. What's the first thing they often do? They upgrade their car, move into a bigger apartment, start eating out more often, and take more expensive vacations. Their lifestyle expands to match their new income. They may be earning more, but their savings rate is still zero. According to Richard Templar, they've simply become better at spending more money. They're still a few missed paychecks away from financial trouble. They are rich in the sense that they have a lot of money coming in. But they are not wealthy because they haven't built any financial security. They're still playing the same game, just at a higher level. Now, let's contrast that with another story. Let's talk about a woman named Maria. Maria is a graphic designer, and she's always had a good, steady income. She didn't get a huge raise, and she didn't win the lottery. But early on, she made a conscious decision, based on a principle very much like Templar's, to prioritize saving and investing over increasing her lifestyle. When she got a small raise, instead of going out and buying something new, she increased the amount she was automatically transferring to her savings and investment accounts. She lived in the same comfortable apartment and drove the same reliable car. She understood that every dollar she didn't spend was a dollar she could put to work for her. Richard Templar teaches us that this is a key habit of the wealthy. They understand that money, when properly managed, can become an asset that generates more money. Maria's approach wasn't about being stingy. It was about being strategic. She realized that financial freedom wasn't about the size of her paycheck, but the size of her savings and investment portfolio. It's about the gap between what you earn and what you spend. That gap, Templar reminds us, is where true wealth is built. It's a powerful idea. You, Dan T., need to earn a fortune to build wealth. You just need to control your spending and put your money to work for you. So, as we move forward, let's stop focusing on what we can earn and start focusing on what we can keep. That is the true path to lasting wealth. Rule number 3, you must have a clear idea of what you want. Welcome back. We've already explored some foundational ideas in our journey through Richard Templar's The Rules of Wealth. From understanding the difference between being rich and being truly wealthy, to recognizing that what we keep is far more important than what we earn. Today, we are going to dive into a concept that is less about numbers and more about your mind, a concept that, according to Richard Templar, is the very beginning of the wealth-building process. Have you ever met someone who seems to have a clear picture of their future? Not just a vague idea, but a detailed, almost tangible vision of where they want to be. They can describe their ideal home, their desired lifestyle, and their financial goals with incredible clarity. And have you noticed that these are often the people who achieve what they set out to do? Why is that? Why is it that some people can see beyond their current struggles and daily routine, while others feel perpetually stuck, unable to imagine a better financial future for themselves? In this chapter, Richard Templar teaches us that we must have a clear idea of what we want. He argues that wealth isn't an accidental destination. It's the result of intentional, purposeful action. And you can't take purposeful action until you know exactly what you're aiming for. It's like trying to navigate without a map or a destination in mind. It might end up somewhere, but it's highly unlikely to be where you truly wanted to go. Richard Templar reminds us that our minds are powerful tools, and if we don't give them a clear objective, they'll simply wander. Think about a woman named Jessica. For years, she felt like she was just spinning her wheels. She had a good job, but she was always stressed about money. She had a vague desire to be financially stable, but she had never defined what that meant to her. When a friend recommended Templar's rules, she was challenged to sit down and truly define her goals. She got a notebook and started writing. She wrote about wanting to own a small, cozy home by the lake, to be able to travel to see her family twice a year without worrying about the cost, and to feel secure enough to one day start her own small business. She wrote down specific numbers: how much she needed for a down payment, how much she wanted to have in her savings, and the income her business would need to generate. According to Richard Templar, this simple act of getting specific changed everything for Jessica. Her mind, now equipped with a clear goal, started noticing opportunities she had overlooked before. She started cutting back on unnecessary spending, because she now had a compelling reason to do so. Every dollar saved was a step closer to her lake house. She began researching affordable ways to start her business, because her goal was now a tangible reality, not just a fantasy. Templar's point is that a vague dream of being wealthy is simply not enough. You need to create a vivid picture of what that wealth will enable you to do, feel, and be. This rule isn't about being greedy or materialistic. It's about connecting your financial decisions to your deepest desires and values. Richard Templar teaches that when you have a clear vision of what you want, you are no longer making financial choices based on impulse or emotion. You are making them based on purpose. Your goals become your motivators. They give you the strength to say no to things that don't serve you, and yes to things that move you closer to your ideal life. So, I challenge you, right now, to begin asking yourself, what do you really want? What does a wealthy life look like to you, in detail? Let us begin this next chapter of our journey by getting that picture crystal clear in our minds. Rule number 4. Understand your relationship with money. Welcome back. We've talked about the crucial difference between being rich and being truly wealthy, the importance of keeping what you earn, and the power of having a clear vision for your financial future. Now, let's get a bit more personal. Have you ever noticed how the way you feel about money can influence every financial decision you make? Do you view money as a source of stress, something that's always in short supply? Or do you see it as a tool, a resource that can help you create the life you want? This deep-seated belief system, often formed unconsciously, is the focus of this next chapter. In this chapter, Richard Templar explains a powerful and often overlooked truth. He argues that money isn't just a physical object or a number in a bank account. It's an emotional and psychological force in our lives. Our attitudes toward it, our fears, our hopes, our values are deeply intertwined with our financial habits. Templar shows us that many people have a negative relationship with money, often without even realizing it. They might believe that money is the root of all evil, that wealthy people are selfish, or that they're simply not the kind of person who can be wealthy. Think about a man named David. David had a great job and a decent salary, but he always felt a sense of anxiety. Whenever he looked at his bank account, he would avoid checking his balances, and when he did, he'd feel a surge of stress. He had grown up hearing his parents argue about money, and he'd developed a subconscious belief that money was a source of conflict and pain. Because of this, he would often spend money impulsively, not out of a desire for things, but as a way to temporarily escape the stress he felt. Every paycheck came and went, and he was stuck in a vicious cycle. According to Richard Templar, David's problem wasn't his income, it was his relationship with money. He hadn't confronted the negative beliefs that were driving his behavior. Now, contrast this with someone like Sarah. Sarah didn't come from a wealthy background, but her parents taught her to respect money and see it as a tool for security and for helping others. For her, money wasn't a source of stress, but a resource she could use to build a comfortable life and give back to her community. She was deliberate about saving and investing because she saw it as a way to create stability and freedom. She didn't see wealthy people as selfish. She saw them as people who had mastered a skill she was determined to learn. Richard Templar teaches us that Sarah's positive relationship with money allowed her to make rational, long-term decisions that David, caught in his web of negative emotions, couldn't. This rule is a call for introspection. Richard Templar reminds us that before we can change our financial situation, we must first change our mindset. He encourages us to ask ourselves tough questions. What are my earliest memories of money? What did my parents teach me about it, both through their words and their actions? What are my deepest fears and hopes related to money? By bringing these hidden beliefs to the surface, we can begin to challenge them and replace them with a more empowering and healthy perspective. This isn't just about financial advice. It's about personal growth. It's about healing our relationship with money so it can become a tool for good in our lives, not a source of constant stress. This is where true and lasting wealth begins, with a change of heart and mind. Rule number 5. Set yourself targets. Have you ever set a goal for yourself, maybe to save a certain amount of money, pay off a credit card, or start a new side business, and felt incredibly excited and motivated at first, only to lose momentum after a few weeks or months? Why do some people set goals and reach them, while others abandon their dreams halfway through? The difference often lies not just in the desire to change, but in the practical strategy for making that change happen. A dream without a plan is just a wish. In this chapter, Richard Templar introduces a simple yet incredibly powerful rule that bridges the gap between intention and action. He teaches us that a vague goal like "I want to be wealthy" is not enough. It's a dream, not a plan. To turn that dream into a reality, you need to break it down into specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound targets, what many call SMART goals. Richard Templar explains that these targets serve as milestones on your journey to wealth. They give you a clear destination for your efforts, making your progress visible and your motivation sustainable. Think about a man named Michael. For years, Michael felt tired of living paycheck to paycheck and had a vague desire to be financially free. But like so many of us, he had no idea where to start. He would save a little money here and there, but a big expense would always pop up, and he'd end up right back where he started. His ambition was real, but his plan was non-existent. When he learned about Richard Templar's rule on setting targets, he decided to get specific. Instead of just wanting to save, he sat down one Saturday morning and created a clear, tangible plan. He set a target. I will save $1,000 in a high-yield savings account by the end of the next 6 months. He then broke that down further into a smaller, weekly target. I will put $40 into savings every Friday morning. Suddenly, his goal was no longer a distant, impossible mountain. It was a manageable, step-by-step journey. Every Friday, when he transferred that $40, he felt a powerful sense of accomplishment. That small, consistent win built momentum and confidence, keeping him motivated even when other distractions arose. He wasn't just hoping for a better financial future. He was actively building it, one small, deliberate step at a time. This feeling of control and progress completely changed his mindset. He began looking forward to Fridays, not as the end of the work week, but as a marker of his progress toward financial freedom. According to Richard Templar, setting targets is a way of holding yourself accountable. When you have a number and a deadline, you can't make excuses. A goal like I want to pay off my debt is easily ignored. But a target like I will pay off $5,000 of my credit card debt in 12 months is a call to action. It forces you to look at your budget, find ways to cut back, and dedicate every spare dollar to that specific purpose. Templar reminds us that targets don't have to be massive at first. They can be small, like saving $10 a week or cutting down your daily coffee spending. The point is not the size of the target, but the act of setting it and working toward it consistently. It sets the difference between wishing you were at a certain place and having a GPS with turn-by-turn directions to get there. This rule is about turning your intentions into a roadmap. It's about giving your mind a clear direction and celebrating the small victories along the way. Richard Templar teaches us that this simple habit is what separates those who talk about changing their financial lives from those who actually do it. It's the fundamental discipline of converting a desire into a reality. So, I encourage you to take a moment and think about your own financial dreams. Are they just dreams, or have you turned them into clear, actionable targets? Let us make this the chapter where we stop just hoping and start planning our journey to wealth. Rule number 6. Do the sums. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have a knack for making smart financial decisions while others repeatedly make mistakes that cost them dearly? It's a common paradox. One person seems to know when to save, when to spend, and when to invest, while another gets caught in a cycle of impulse purchases and mounting debt. Is it simply a matter of intelligence, or is there a different skill at play? In this chapter, Richard Templar explains a critical rule for anyone serious about building wealth. He argues that becoming wealthy is not about magic, luck, or innate talent. It's about a deliberate, mathematical approach to your money. This isn't about being an accountant, but about developing the habit of thinking logically and calculating the real cost of your financial decisions before you make them. According to Richard Templar, most people operate on a feeling or a whim. They see something they want and they buy it without truly understanding the long-term impact on their financial health. Consider the story of a young couple, David and Lisa, who wanted to buy a new car. They found a sleek, beautiful SUV that was well within their monthly budget for the car payment. They felt like they could afford it, so they went ahead with the purchase. They didn't calculate the full cost. They didn't consider the much higher insurance premiums for the new car. The increased fuel costs, the more expensive maintenance and repairs, and the rapid depreciation of the vehicle's value. 6 months later, they found themselves struggling to keep up. The car was eating up so much of their income that they were barely saving anything. The financial stress was immense. Now, let's look at another person, a man named Ben, who was in a similar situation. Ben was also looking for a new car, but he applied Richard Templar's rule. He didn't just look at the monthly payment. He created a spreadsheet and did the sums. He calculated the total cost of ownership over 5 years, including insurance, fuel, maintenance, and a realistic estimate of the car's resale value. He compared a few different models, not based on emotion, but on pure numbers. He realized that the car he wanted would be a major financial liability, while a more modest, reliable car would save him thousands of dollars and allow him to continue investing and building his wealth. The car he bought wasn't as flashy, but it gave him something far more valuable: peace of mind and financial security. Richard Templar points out that doing the sums applies to all areas of your life, not just big purchases. It applies to every time you consider going out to eat, buying something on impulse, or taking on a new debt. Templar reminds us that every financial decision, no matter how small, has a consequence. By taking a moment to calculate the real cost, not just the price tag, but the opportunity cost to empower yourself to make rational choices rather than emotional ones. The opportunity cost is the most important part of this equation. It's about asking yourself, what else could this money do for me? Could that money spent on a new gadget be invested to grow and eventually buy you financial freedom? Richard Templar teaches us that this habit of doing the sums is what separates a spender from a true wealth builder. A spender sees a price tag. A wealth builder sees an equation. They see the potential of every dollar to grow and work for them. This isn't about being stingy. It's about being smart. It's about using logic to overcome impulse and emotion, and ensuring that every financial decision moves you closer to your goals, not further away. So, I encourage you to make this your new habit. Before you make a financial decision, big or small, stop and do the sums. Rule number 7. Think big. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to be able to take calculated risks that lead to great rewards, while others are so paralyzed by fear that they avoid every opportunity, missing their chance at building wealth? It's a common paradox. One person might invest in a new venture or start a side business and it pays off. Another person has a brilliant idea but never acts on it, afraid of failure. What separates these two approaches? In this chapter, Richard Templar addresses this very issue with a powerful piece of advice. He argues that wealth is rarely, if ever, created by playing it safe all the time. While prudence and careful spending are essential, they are not the sole ingredients for massive financial success. According to Richard Templar, truly wealthy people are not afraid to think beyond their current circumstances. They don't just focus on incremental improvements, they look for exponential growth. They understand that while a small savings account is a good start, true financial freedom often requires taking bigger, well-considered leaps. Consider the story of a man named Alex. Alex worked a steady, well-paying corporate job. He was good at saving money and was very disciplined about his spending. His friends would often compliment him on his financial responsibility. But he was also a passionate artist and had an idea for an online platform to sell his and other artists' work directly to buyers, cutting out the galleries. For months, he hesitated. He did the sums and saw the risks. He would have to use a significant portion of his savings to get the business started, and there was no guarantee it would succeed. He was comfortable and safe in his current situation, and the fear of losing his savings was almost overwhelming. Then, he heard about Richard Templar's rule of thinking big. This wasn't about being reckless. It was about reframing his perspective. He realized his current path, while safe, had a very low ceiling. To truly achieve the financial freedom he dreamed of, he couldn't just rely on his salary and modest investments. He had to take a leap of faith. He did a great deal of research, created a detailed business plan, and started his online art platform on the side. It was a slow start, but he was patient and dedicated. Over time, his platform gained traction. It wasn't an overnight success, but within a few years, his small side business was generating more income than his corporate job. He was able to leave his 9-to-5 and focus on his passion full-time. Richard Templar emphasizes that thinking big is not about gambling. It's about taking calculated risks. He teaches us that a wealthy mindset is one that looks for opportunities to multiply money, not just to add to it. It's about recognizing that the greatest reward often comes from the greatest perceived risk. However, this risk is mitigated by careful planning and a deep understanding of what you are getting into. Templar reminds us that many people who avoid risk completely end up regretting it. They watch others succeed with ideas they themselves had, but were too afraid to pursue. This rule is an invitation to step out of your comfort zone, to be open to opportunities that have the potential for life-changing returns. It's about asking yourself, what if I took that idea seriously? What if I invested in that skill? What if I started that business? Richard Templar teaches us that the path to true wealth often requires us to overcome our fear and to think, act, and dream on a much grander scale than we are used to. It's the moment we stop playing small and start playing to win. Rule number 8. Be visible. Have you ever wondered why some people consistently attract opportunities, while others seem to struggle despite working hard? It's a common observation. One person meets someone at a social gathering who ends up offering them a life-changing business deal, while another works tirelessly behind a desk and never seems to catch a break. Is it just pure luck, or is there something more to it? In this chapter, Richard Templar addresses this very phenomenon and explains a crucial rule for building wealth. He argues that you can be the most talented, intelligent, and hardworking person in the world. But if no one knows who you are, what you do, and what you're capable of, you'll never get the opportunities you deserve. According to Richard Templar, wealth is not just built in isolation. It is built through networks, relationships, and visibility. You have to put yourself and your skills in a position where they can be seen and recognized. Consider the story of a man named Mark. Mark was an incredibly skilled web developer who worked as a freelancer. He did excellent work for his clients, but he was a bit of an introvert. He rarely attended industry events. He didn't have a professional website to showcase his portfolio, and he didn't actively network. He believed that his work would speak for itself, and that clients would simply find him through word of mouth. While he had a steady stream of small projects, he never seemed to land the big, high-paying contracts that his peers were getting. He was a brilliant craftsman, but he was hidden in the shadows. Now, let's contrast him with a young woman named Sarah, who had similar skills. Sarah was equally talented, but she had a different approach. She applied Richard Templar's rule of being visible. She started a blog where she wrote articles about web development trends. She created a professional portfolio website that highlighted her best work. She went to every industry meetup and conference she could find, not just to collect business cards, but to genuinely meet people, learn from them, and share her knowledge. She even started a small podcast where she interviewed other developers. She was constantly putting herself and her expertise out there. When a large company was looking for a developer for a major project, a mutual connection who had read her blog recommended her. The company didn't just see her resume. They'd already seen her work and heard her speak. They knew exactly who she was and what she was capable of. The opportunity was a direct result of her visibility. Richard Templar emphasizes that being visible is not about bragging or being overly promotional. It's about building a reputation and creating a presence. It's about letting people know that you exist, that you have valuable skills, and that you are an expert in your field. He teaches us that this can be as simple as having a well-maintained professional profile online, or as proactive as volunteering to speak at a local event. Templar reminds us that the world is full of talented people who are waiting to be found. The truly wealthy, however, are the ones who make it easy to be found. They understand that every person they meet is a potential connection, and every platform is an opportunity to showcase their value. This rule is a powerful call to action. It's about moving beyond passive waiting and taking an active role in creating your own opportunities. Richard Templar explains that your skills and hard work are your foundation, but your visibility is the bridge that connects you to the world of wealth. It's the difference between being a well-kept secret and being a sought-after professional. So, I encourage you to think about how visible you are in your field. Are you waiting for opportunities to find you, or are you actively putting yourself in a position where they can? The answer might be the key to unlocking your next big financial opportunity. Rule number 9. Get into the habit of opportunity. Have you ever wondered why some people consistently create opportunities while others let them slip away? It's a common observation. Some people just seem to be in the right place at the right time, while others, despite their hard work, never seem to catch a break. Is it pure luck, or is there a way to cultivate opportunity? In this chapter, Richard Templar explains a crucial rule for building wealth. He argues that opportunities aren't random occurrences that fall into your lap. They are a direct result of being prepared, observant, and proactive. According to Richard Templar, truly wealthy people don't wait for opportunities. They seek them out, and in doing so, they make themselves magnets for new possibilities. This isn't about being an opportunist in a negative sense, but about cultivating a mindset that is always looking for ways to improve, to connect, and to grow. Think about two friends, Maria and Jessica, who both worked in the same marketing department. They were both diligent and had similar skill sets. Maria, however, had a different approach to her job. She wasn't just focused on her daily tasks. She actively read industry blogs, took online courses to learn new skills, and attended every company workshop, even the ones not directly related to her role. She was always asking questions, trying to understand how different parts of the business worked together. When a new project came up that required a blend of marketing and data analysis, she wasn't a passive observer. She had already taken a data analysis course and had a conversation with the project manager about her interest. Her preparation and proactive approach positioned her perfectly to be considered for the project. She wasn't just lucky. She had created her own luck. Jessica, on the other hand, was focused solely on her job description. She did her work well and went home. She was good at what she did, but she was never looking for what was next. When the new project was announced, she saw it as something outside her scope and never considered putting herself forward. She was waiting for a chance to come to her, while Maria was actively pursuing it. Richard Templar emphasizes that the habit of opportunity is an ongoing practice. It's about constantly learning, expanding your network, and keeping your eyes and ears open for chances to apply your skills in new ways. He teaches us that this can be as simple as striking up a conversation with someone new at a conference, or as deliberate as researching new trends in your industry. Templar reminds us that the world is full of people who are waiting to be found, but the truly wealthy are the ones who make it easy to be found by continuously putting themselves in a position to discover new possibilities. This isn't about being a workaholic, but about being a curious, engaged, and prepared professional. It's about seeing the world not as a fixed reality, but as a dynamic landscape of potential. This rule is a powerful call to action. It's about moving beyond passive waiting and taking an active role in creating your own opportunities. Richard Templar explains that your skills and hard work are your foundation, but your proactive mindset is the engine that drives your success. It's the difference between being a well-kept secret and being a sought-after expert. So, I encourage you to think about how you cultivate opportunity in your own life. Are you waiting for things to happen, or are you making things happen? The answer might be the key to unlocking your next big financial opportunity. Rule number 10. Use your existing assets. Have you ever been so focused on getting to a destination that you fail to notice the valuable resources you've been carrying with you all along? It's a common paradox in our quest for wealth. We look for a new job, a new investment, or a new business idea, completely overlooking the potential right under our noses. What if the key to your financial future isn't out there, but already within you? In this chapter, Richard Templar shines a spotlight on a powerful but often ignored truth. He argues that we all have a wealth of resources that can be leveraged to create more wealth, but we rarely see them as such. According to Richard Templar, your existing assets aren't just your bank account or your physical possessions. They are your skills, your knowledge, your network, your reputation, and even your free time. He reminds us that true wealth builders don't just accumulate new things. They are masters at utilizing what they already have to their maximum potential. Consider the story of a woman named Emily. Emily had been a full-time stay-at-home mother for years, and while she was incredibly fulfilled, she felt a growing desire for financial independence. She and her husband had been talking about ways she could contribute to the family's finances, but she was so focused on the idea of getting a traditional job that she felt trapped. She didn't have a recent resume and felt her skills were outdated. But then she read about Richard Templar's rule. She was challenged to look at her life and her skills from a new perspective. She realized she had an incredible asset: her talent for planning parties and events. For years, she had been the go-to person in her social circle for organizing birthdays, baby showers, and holiday gatherings. She was highly organized, creative, and a natural at managing people and budgets. She never thought of it as a skill she could monetize. Encouraged by Templar's rule, she started a small event planning business from her home. She used her existing network of friends and family as her first clients. She leveraged her reputation for being reliable and detail-oriented. She didn't need to go back to school or get a new job. She simply took an existing skill and turned it into an income-generating asset. Her first few jobs were small, but she worked hard, and soon, word of mouth started to spread. Her business grew from a part-time hobby into a thriving enterprise. Richard Templar teaches us that our most valuable assets are often invisible to us because they are so integrated into our lives. He encourages us to ask ourselves, what am I good at that other people struggle with? What knowledge do I have that others are willing to pay for? Who do I know that could help me, or that I could help in a business capacity? Templar emphasizes that the greatest opportunities for wealth are often found by looking inward, not outward. He reminds us that the ability to recognize and monetize your own skills is a hallmark of a wealthy mindset. It's about seeing your life as a collection of resources, not just a series of obligations. This rule is a powerful call to self-reflection and resourcefulness. It's about moving beyond the idea that you need more money to make more money, and instead realizing that you have what it takes to start building wealth right now. Richard Templar explains that your existing assets are the foundation of your future wealth. It says the difference between searching for a new path and paving a new path with the stones you already have. So, I encourage you to take a moment and think about your own existing assets. What skills, knowledge, or connections do you have that you are not fully utilizing? The answer might surprise you. Rule number 11. Never depend on a single source of income. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to be able to make money from multiple sources, while others are entirely dependent on a single paycheck? It's a common observation in today's economy. One person seems to be making money from a side business, a rental property, and their investments, while another is just scraping by on their salary. What is the fundamental difference between these two financial situations? In this chapter, Richard Templar explains a crucial rule for anyone serious about building lasting wealth. He argues that relying on one paycheck, no matter how large, is an incredibly risky financial position. It makes you vulnerable to economic downturns, job loss, or changes in your industry. According to Richard Templar, true wealth is built on a foundation of diversity and multiple income streams. This isn't just about having more money. It's about building resilience and security into your financial life. Consider the story of a man named Tom, who worked in the construction industry. He was good at his job and earned a comfortable salary. He felt secure in his position, so he focused all his energy on his primary job. When the housing market took a downturn, he was hit hard. He lost his job and, with no other income source, found himself in a difficult financial situation. His entire financial life was built on a single pillar, and when that pillar crumbled, everything came crashing down. Now, let's look at another man named Robert, who was in a similar field. Robert also earned a good salary, but he applied Richard Templar's rule of diversification. He knew his industry was cyclical, so he proactively started building other income streams. On the weekends, he used his skills to do small-scale home repair and renovation jobs for people in his neighborhood. He also started a small website where he sold tutorials on basic home maintenance. He wasn't relying on these income streams to live, but they provided him with a safety net. When the downturn hit and he lost his primary job, he wasn't financially devastated. His side businesses, though smaller, kept a steady flow of income coming in. He had the financial freedom to take his time finding a new job, rather than having to panic and take the first offer he could find. Richard Templar emphasizes that building multiple income streams is not about greed. It's about creating financial security. He teaches us that this can be as simple as having a side hustle, investing in dividend-paying stocks, or renting out a spare room. The goal is to create a financial system where if one part fails, the others can support you. Templar reminds us that the wealthy are often not just dependent on their jobs. Their money is working for them from a variety of different sources. They understand that a single income stream is a single point of failure. This rule is a powerful call to action for anyone who wants to build a truly resilient financial life. It's about moving beyond the idea that a single paycheck is enough and starting to think like an entrepreneur, regardless of your profession. Richard Templar explains that your journey to wealth is not just about making more money, but about making money in more ways. It's the difference between having a single source of financial stability and having a network of sources that support you. So, I encourage you to think about your own financial life. Are you depending on a single source of income? If so, what small step can you take today to start building another one? The answer might be the key to your future financial security. Welcome to the final chapter of our journey. We've explored the profound wisdom of Richard Templar's The Rules of Wealth. And now, as we close this book, I want to ask you a few questions. Have you begun to see money not as a source of stress, but as a powerful tool for freedom? Are you ready to stop being a passive participant in your financial life and start taking control of your future? Throughout this audiobook, we've gone on a transformative journey. Not just through financial principles, but through a new way of thinking. We've learned that wealth isn't a magical state reserved for a lucky few. It's a mindset and a set of disciplined actions that anyone can learn. Richard Templar taught us the crucial difference between being merely rich, having a lot of money at one time, and being truly wealthy, having a secure, lasting financial foundation. He reminded us that what you keep is far more important than what you earn, and that the small, daily spending habits we overlook are the very things that can drain our potential for wealth. We also learned the power of having a clear vision. Remember how we talked about the difference between a vague dream and a specific, measurable target? It says the difference between hoping to reach a destination and having a clear roadmap to get there. Templar showed us that true wealth builders are not just dreamers. They are meticulous planners who are brutally honest about where their money goes. They have a healthy relationship with money, seeing it as a resource for good rather than a source of stress. They also think big, taking calculated risks and using their existing assets, their skills, their knowledge, and their networks to create multiple streams of income. Think about a friend of mine. Let's call her Sarah. For years, she felt stuck in her job and frustrated with her finances. She had always believed that you needed to be a genius or a shark to build wealth. After applying just a few of these rules, everything changed. She started by being honest with herself, meticulously tracking every dollar she spent for 1 month. The results were shocking and empowering. She realized she was wasting hundreds of dollars on things she didn't even value. She then set a small, achievable target to save just $50 a week. Soon, that habit grew into saving more and more, and her confidence soared. She wasn't just earning a paycheck anymore. She was actively building her financial future. She went from feeling powerless to feeling like the captain of her own ship. That's the core message of this book. You have the power to change your financial life. The principles are not complex. They are timeless truths about discipline, foresight, and action. They are about transforming your mindset from one of scarcity to one of abundance. The journey to wealth is a personal one, but it is one you can start today. It begins with a single, deliberate choice: the choice to think differently, to act intentionally, and to take control. This is not the end of our conversation, but the beginning of your new financial life. If you found these lessons inspiring and empowering, I want to invite you to continue your journey with us. To stay connected, learn more, and get more insights on personal growth and wealth building, be sure to like this episode. Share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and most importantly, subscribe to Evergreen Audiobooks on YouTube. Your subscription is more than just a click. It's a commitment to your ongoing growth and a signal that you are ready to build a life of freedom and prosperity. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Now go out there and build the life you truly want.